What is up, guys? Welcome back to another quick episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. It is May 15th. We just got the NFL schedule release yesterday, and it's a big deal, especially if you're going to games just for fantasy purposes. And then if you play best ball, we have a lot riding on these schedules, especially towards the end of the season. And in today's video, we're going to be going over my 2025 best ball cheat sheet. This is free on the fantasyfellowship.com. I did post it here on the main page. Check out my free 2025 best ball cheat sheet. You can also access it just through the content tab. And there's a PDF you can download here. And we're going to break this down. And then if you guys hang out till the end, we'll do some slow draft picks. I've got one on Drafters and a couple on DraftKings. But the best ball cheat sheet here, I don't know why that's not loading. But if you scroll on down a little bit here, you guys can find the PDF. And you just click that and it'll be able to download it if you wish. I did post, let me post it here. Let's see what we got. I don't know why that image didn't go. But this is essentially the cheat sheet. And we'll just kind of zoom in here. And I'm going to explain some things that we got going on. So, you know what? This is available on the fantasyfellowship.com. You guys can, right-click, save it. I also posted it here for you to look at. And then you do have the PDF download here. I'm just going to look at it on my Google Sheets here that I use to make it. And what you're going to find here, the fantasy playoff schedule on the left with weeks 15, 16, and 17 bolded here. On the right, it's just the week 17 schedule, and I kind of broke it down by date, time, and then there's some week 15, 16 correlation, just another way to kind of look at it. Let's start on the left here, the fantasy playoff schedule. Why, in these formats with Underdog and DraftKings, where they're playoff formats, playoffs start week 15. Why do I care about week 15 and 16? I know a lot of people only care about week 17, but to me, I have to get there. I had a lot of teams that just didn't advance week 15. I did ultimately take, I think I took like 13th or something in one contest and ended up winning a nice prize of some cash. Last year, this is the formula that I used, and I did pretty well, I thought. But what we're looking at here, so it's alphabetical on the far left. I did share the projected wins that were out and available right now. And then the SOS is the strength of schedule. And I did note that that's from Sharp Football Analysis, 1 being the easiest, 32 being the hardest. The Giants have the hardest schedule. The 49ers have the easiest schedule. So, don't be afraid of taking some 49ers. And for me, I like to think about week 15 and 16. I do start with week 17 being my main stack, though. So if we move over to the right, let's talk about Dallas at Washington. That's a great game. Fantastic game on Christmas Day here at noon Central Time. So when I'm drafting teams, if I start my draft with CeeDee Lamb, sure, I can come back and maybe I put Jaden Daniels on that squad. Maybe I throw on, Zach Ertz, Terry McLaurin, George Pickens. There's running backs available for both these teams. There's a lot of players that you can put in that game stack and enjoy what you might have for week 17. But this is kind of my focus that I started doing last year. I want to think about weeks 15 and 16. Now, I did kind of post a little note that says how to read this on the far right, and I'm going to break it down for you. So Dallas at Washington. The first two teams, noted right here, the first two teams play the away team in the far left. So Dallas gets Minnesota and the Chargers in weeks 15 and 16. The Commanders get the Giants and the Eagles. Now, when I'm building out my Dallas and my Washington teams, I want to continue to build that game stack. But now I want to, if there's, say we're in round 8 and there's nobody in Dallas or Washington that I want to grab, I'm going to break ties with my pick here. I'm going to be looking at Minnesota players, Charger players, Giants players, and Eagles players. Basically, when I start to build up my stack, I'm really only looking at the two teams week 17 and the teams that both of them play in weeks 15 and 16. Because say I got Dallas and Washington stack built, but I'm going to sprinkle in a little TJ Hawkinson. Maybe TJ Hawkinson gets a big week and that's a big game environment and that moves me into week 16. And then the Chargers, there's tons of guys that we can draft from the Chargers, whether it's Amari and Hampton or one of the receivers. There's a lot of fun guys that you can grab there to kind of just move. If you have a nice Dallas thing going, maybe you can look at some of those other teams and start to stack those weeks 15 and 16s. And then on the flip side here, Washington, if I'm missing out on some Washington guys, maybe maybe I look at, some Giants and some Eagles to kind of just help push my Dallas stack to week 17. So that's really all the thinking is behind these charts. And again, I'm going to just note how to read this. So how to read the chart above, I'm going to use Seattle at Carolina as an example. Seattle plays Carolina in week 17. Now, Seattle plays Indianapolis and the Rams in weeks 15 and 16. Those are the first two teams that I listed here. If creating a Seattle stack, draft Carolina plus Indianapolis plus Rams teams. That's the way to do that. Carolina also plays New Orleans and Tampa Bay in weeks 15 and 16. So tack on these Saints and these Buccaneers for a deeper correlation to your stack here. And again, I found some success doing this last year. And then I noted some of my favorite stacks right here. Dallas, Washington being one of them. We can make a huge list of players from all these teams here. And you can basically say, I want to try and get as many guys from these 6 teams as I possibly can, with the Dallas, Washington being the primary focus. Detroit, Minnesota is another very, very good one. Detroit's going to get the Rams and the Steelers early, and the Vikings are going to get the Cowboys and Giants. Like, these are all, I don't think the Giants are a playoff team this year, but the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Rams, those guys are all playoff potential teams. So you're looking at very good teams, good offenses, hopefully. And then this Baltimore Packers one, this one's pretty fun. Bengals, Patriots, Broncos, and Bears. So you have some young quarterbacks here. Joe Burrow, some interesting names that you guys can pull from those teams. I like this Houston Charger game. That one could be a high-octane game in week 17. They're going to get the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys. Again, all teams with big names. The Giants and the Raiders are a sneaky one. And the reason why it's under one of my favorite stacks is, sure, you got Genty, you got Neighbors, you got a couple other pieces you can grab from those not so good teams. But look at their teams that they're correlated with. The Commanders, Vikings, Eagles, and Texans. Those are all playoff teams. So I do like looking at some of those Giants and Raiders stacks. The Rams and the Falcons. Now, this is another one of my favorites. Lions, Seahawks, Bucks, and Cardinals, all potential playoff teams here. Rams at Atlanta, that sounds like a fast track game in week 17. Denver and Kansas City here, they play on Christmas night. They're going to get Packers, Jags, Chargers, and Titans to build out your correlation. And then Arizona, Cincinnati, you can add Texans, Falcons, Ravens, and Dolphins, some good teams in there too. So I hope that makes sense. Again, this is all available for download on thefantasyfellowship.com. You guys can go get the PDF there and start to use this when you're drafting. And we're going to actually show you guys some drafts right now. I'm drafting on drafters. I'm not really going all the way in on best ball, kind of avoiding the $2 contest on drafters. And I'm only focusing on the $20 big contest. And I think I'm playing more on DraftKings this year. But anyways, we have a fun start here. Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Marvin Harrison, and Ted McMillan. So we kind of opened ourselves up to a lot of possibilities here. I don't know if I'm building out a stack yet. I don't have a quarterback yet. I'm not looking to draft a quarterback yet either. You can see we just missed Joe Burrow. I don't know if we had anything with him. Quarterbacks, next one's Pat Mahomes down here at 80. So I'm not really quite interested in building anything out yet. But I do have Jahmyr Gibbs, and we talked about, what was it? Lions and Vikings here, getting some good teams here. Let's take a look. I don't have any Vikings that I want to pull, so no Vikings yet. We could look at Addison maybe next round. What else is listed on this team here? We got, and this is drafters. I don't know if correlating with the best ball stacking cheat sheets the number one thing to do with drafters, because it's a season-long competition. So maybe I don't care about that as much here, and maybe I'm just going to have some fun and pick some good players. It's pick 54, K Walker. We already have 2 stud backs, RJ Harvey, Chuba Hubbard. I'll tell you what, I'm looking at George Pickens. I'm looking at Jalen Waddle. I think those are the guys that make sense to me here. I think Pickens could have some really big games with Dak Prescott. We've seen Dak been able to feed 2-3 receivers for most of his career. So slight interest there. I think Jalen Waddle, this might be the year where he finally overtakes Tyreek Hill. He had some strong games at the end of the year. This team just had quarterback struggles for the most part, but I do think a breakout season for Jalen Waddle is definitely in the cards. I'm going to go ahead and grab George Pickens here, just get a little bit of a Dallas thing going on, and we'll see what comes back to us in that next round. I do have a couple more drafts going here on drafters, but let's take a peek at my DraftKings situation. And DraftKings is getting better. I still wish they had a little bit different format for how we're looking at things, but my team is here on the bottom right, I have Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, and David Montgomery, and Isaiah Pacheco. So I'm kind of done at running back. I have 5 awesome ones: Gibbs, Jacobs, Bucky, Monty, and Pacheco. Now it looks like I have a little bit of a weaker receiver group. I have Worthy, Devonta Smith, Juwan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk. So I'm kind of building out a little 49er thing. It looks like I did miss Brock Purdy coming back to me, unfortunately. There's a huge run on quarterbacks here, and that's probably where I need to look. Let's just see. Drake May's best available. Trevor Lawrence, next best available. We're picking at 117. I don't mind pulling one of these guys early. I don't have any stackage going on yet. Let's see. Trey Harris, Jack Besh. Christian Kirk is interesting. Rashid Shaheed. Let's just take a peek here at tight end. I think David Njoku is actually a good click at this point because whoever their quarterback is, they're going to be kind of dinking and dunking a lot. And he's kind of the last of like the big dudes here. He has a knee thing going on right now. But Njoku, I mean, even last year with the bad quarterback play, he was still putting up some really big numbers and kind of being their target hog. So if I want to wait, I could see what quarterbacks come back around to me. This team here has 3, and these teams have 2. So there's a chance that I lose out on a quarterback here. But as long as I get one of these guys, I should probably draft 2 of these guys, honestly. Tell you what, we're just gonna take Drake May, and I'll start to look for some backdoor New England Patriot players. I don't get why Ramondre is so low. I know everyone's in on Travion Henderson, but Ramondre is a good player, and I think it's going to be a fun offense. All right, so we're deep in this one. Pick 183. Let's see what I've been building out. And it, up until yesterday, we didn't know the bye weeks on some of these guys, so we'll see what we got. Justin Herbert at my quarterback spot. I have Bryce Young, QB2. That feels fine. Running backs are Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Tony Pollard, Jaden Blue, and Austin Eckler. So I feel okay with those 5. My receivers, Puka, Ladd, Marvin, Waddle, Shakir, Bateman, and Hollywood Brown. That feels pretty good. My lone tight end is Njoku, so I did get a share of Njoku there. I'm looking at, again, Herbert and Bubba Young, Bryce Young here. Let's see who sticks out. Herbert and Gerberts, they get the Texans. I do not see any Texans on this list. That's fine. Do we have any possible Chargers left to draft? It's not looking likely. All right, I do need a backup tight end at some point here. I'm not liking these. I only have one, so I'm feeling a little nervous there. Russell Wilson down here. I don't have any Giants or anything going on here. So this team, again, most of these drafts were done before, slow drafts before the schedule came out. I like my running back depth. I don't know if I need to grab one, but Devin Neal interests me. Hopkins. I've been clicking a lot of Josh Palmer. I don't think he should be going this late. But we're 7 deep at the receiver position already. I guess if I grab a receiver here, I could be done. Russell Wilson's the starting quarterback. We're just gonna grab Russell Wilson here and see what happens. And then we're done at quarterback. We'll evaluate tight end, and we just need some backup receivers and running backs. So there you have it. That is the Best Ball cheat sheet. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. I'm going to be starting Best Ball live streams probably pretty soon here. I want to kind of sit and draft some of these slows and see what I think about some of the stacks that I've been building. So again, thank you. Check out thefantasyfellowship.com. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. Got me feeling icy.